You never know what you don't know, especially if you're coming to the US for the very first time.
Go where the talent is. You have to hire the best people to build the best company.
Just get your team out of the weeds so they can focus on making your company great.
Thinking of expanding your business in the US? With employment regulations and tax laws varying from state to state and even by local jurisdiction, the process is complicated to say the least.
Expanding into the US, and if you're going into multiple states, it would be like a US company expanding into Europe, except for Europe, each country is different. In the US, you come in and all 50 states are very different.
So what can founders do to simplify the process? In our recent webinar, Shannon Schiltz, operating partner at Andreessen Horowitz, Sasha Medvedovsky, co-founder and CEO of Diversion Company, and Philip Alvarado, director of PEO Solutions at Deel, came together to share their expertise.
When we see companies coming into the US, a lot of times they're focused a lot on what the federal laws are and how to, stand up a corporation inside the US or an entity inside the US. The complexity really starts when you start hiring folks and trying, nowadays everyone is across all 50 states. And so really understanding the nuances of the law in each state becomes quite challenging from a tax perspective, compliance, leaves, anything that, really touches your employees varies by states.
For founders entering the US market for the first time, not having a partner to guide the way makes the process even more challenging.
So the entire team has been based in Tel Aviv until recently, and we just hired the first US-based person this March. So for me, it was the first time experience hiring people in the US. And where do you go? What do you do? There are not many resources for you to understand where to begin. I know that you need a partner for payroll processing, and you need somebody to manage compliance and stuff like that. But as a founder, you don't really want to spend your time on the logistics, right? You need to build your business fast.
And how do you do that? Well, there are 3 common routes: hiring independent contractors, using an employer of record, or setting up an entity and using a professional employer organization.
I always tell people there's 3 ways to come into the US market. First way is hiring a contractor. That gets tricky. That gets into compliance because this person may be functioning as a full-time employee. And the moment that you terminate that person, they can go file for unemployment and they will say, this was my employer. I was working for them full-time. And now it opens up a can of worms. Another very easy way to expand in the US market is by going with an EOR, employer of record. Let somebody else take the liability of hiring this employee full-time for you, and you can leverage them as your full-time employee. Now, once you start getting into 2 or 3 people, you are going to have to set up a US entity. And the third way to go about doing that is with a PEO, a professional employer organization. It's co-employment, so you're both sharing responsibilities. But that is the way that you can stay compliant, because at the end of the day, the PEO in the eyes of the IRS is the employer of record, and they have that shared liability with your company. So joining a PEO, they're going to make sure, Sasha, that you hire this person at the right wage, in the right state, in the right municipality. They're going to say, oh, you have an employee in California, you need to do anti-harassment awareness trainings for that employee. Oh, they're a manager. That person needs to take 2 hours of anti-harassment awareness trainings. If you hire somebody in New York, you have to have New York paid family leave and New York disability insurance. We would obviously handle that and set that up for you. If you hire somebody in Pennsylvania, they have local employer payroll taxes that you're liable for. And these are all like little townships. And you, like I said, you never know what you don't know, especially if you're coming to the US for the very first time. And so that's why I personally believe if you're a small organization expanding to the US for the first time, a PEO should absolutely be on your evaluation list.
With 50 states to choose from, how should founders plan their expansion and hiring strategy? By state or by talent location?
Go where the talent is.
I would go where the talent is, 100%.
Yes.
You have to hire the best people to build the best company. And so you have to have the flexibility. And again, to be super competitive in a market that people just expect certain things when they're being hired in the United States.
Those certain things include taxes and benefits, which can add up and add to a founder's already full plate.
Our benefits programs are so complex in the United States. The laws are so different that you do need the partner that can actually help you identify what's the right plan in the state that you are operating in, right? Because first, not all plans are the same. You could be working with one provider and each state has a different plan. Each state has requirements around notifications, what you can and cannot offer to those employees. I mean, it just gets so complex that, again, having a partner that has identified what is market, one, for that state, and two, gives you a little bit of purchasing power so that, you're not paying a huge amount to get benefits for one person in Texas. And then third, can actually ensure that you're not setting up a plan that's actually not legal in Texas, right? So for instance, Sasha, if you hire another person and it's not in Texas, it's in California, your plan's going to be totally different for those individuals.
So in our case, our first US employee lives in Texas, and that was a surprise for me, but we had to register the company in Texas. I had no idea. And so we are originally registered in Delaware as most startups are. But then, we had to set up our entity in Texas as well, and then their own taxes and fees and regulations. It wasn't that hard to do, but I wouldn't even know that we need to do that without someone from Deel flagging that.
Benefits, leave policies, and minimum wages are enough to handle for one state. Multiply that workload by 50, and it's no wonder why founders and HR teams are looking for a simpler way to scale in the US.
When I talk to HR leaders, they're like, just get me out of the weeds. I want to focus on strategic initiatives. I do not want to deal with the EDD in California. I don't want to have to worry about my employee handbook every single year. I want to make sure it's up to date every single month, right? It's those little things, like just get your team out of the weeds so they can focus on making your company great.
It's the one thing you can't screw up. People want to get paid, and it's so damn complex in the United States. So you have to do it right.